Hello everyone and welcome to the round 2 wrap. Today I'm going to go through both my AFL SuperCoach and AFL Fantasy teams and go through how they did. Let's get into it. So I'm going to make a small change to the round wrap. Instead of going through every single game and looking at most of the SuperCoach scores for those games, I'm just going to go through the ones relevant to what I'm talking about at the point in time, because last video dragged on for quite a while. So let's start off with my SuperCoach team. And as you can see, I got 1,873 points. And overall, I think it was a pretty good round. And it's put me up into the top 8%. I'm ranked almost in the top 14k. And let's see how my team did. So in the back line, Jack Sinclair, Jordan Clark. Those are two pretty good scores. I'm very glad at how Jordan Clark was able to bounce back after that 75 last week. I was a bit worried. I had him in my trade thoughts for the next couple rounds, but that 119 has definitely brought him out of that. Jack Sinclair, just doing Jack Sinclair things. Connor Rosie, unfortunately following that freak injury against Essendon, is expected to be out for quite a bit of time. And so it's going to hurt. I'm going to have to trade him out. And it's that and Christian Petrarca's injury have really soured pretty much everyone's trade plans for this week. Lockie Jakes, 70. Very happy with that score. Sam Grill and Jai Sarong with two lackluster scores, 43 and 48. You'd want better, but Jai Sarong has moved up 49k, still got a negative break even. And Sam Grill, I'm sure he's got enough talent to be able to get back from that. Michael Selwood was looking very ordinary for the first 3 or so quarters, but really brought it back in the fourth quarter when the game was on the line. This score I'm extremely happy about, especially given I was thinking about trading him this round. At 61, I'm very happy with that. Onto the midfield. Now, if you saw my new and updated trade video, I brought in Marcus Bontempelli, and he scored 141, which is an extremely good score. I think the highest score on my team. I'm stoked with that pick. I've got him now. Don't have to worry about getting him in later. Zach Butters, another player who had a pretty good score, a 135. It was a choice between captaining him and Sheasel. And I chose Sheasel, obviously, and it was looking like a pretty good pick. But Zach Butters with a 135 against Essendon, I mean, we knew he was going to score well, and he delivered. Noah Anderson with a 96 is someone a lot of people are nervous about, but I don't feel that concerned about. I think, especially with Christian Petrarca's injury, with him out of the side now, I think it's going to be on Noah Anderson to step up and to lead. And we look at his run. He's got Melbourne after next round, and then he's got Sydney. Then he's got Essendon and Hawks. So it's a mixture of easy and hard matchups. And I'm hoping that Noah Anderson can really step up in these big games against Sydney, Hawthorn, Giants, and really put on some good levels of scoring. I think he's going to be the main engine in the midfield now. And so Christian Petrarca's injury should only increase Anderson's scoring. Darcy Parish with a 67 is concerning. Especially with everyone else going down. Darcy Parish is one that didn't go down, but he's still not really that good to have. I think a lot of the mid-prices just haven't worked out, with the one exception being Tanner Bruin. But Darcy Parish, I mean, he's got North Melbourne, which should hopefully be a good matchup. Then he's got the Dogs, which is worrying because, he could get like a 40 score against them. Jack Carroll with a 44. It's what I expected him to get, and I'm not happy with it, but I really hope you guys can't hear that. Yeah, you guys can definitely hear that. I'm just going to... He's made a good 40k, and I'm happy with that. I might have him on the trade block this round. He's in my current plans. Yeah, I think it's just pretty expected. He was off to a good start, but really slowed down in the second half. Dyson Sharp, another pick that disappointed, but for a different reason. Of course, Dyson Sharp had a bad ankle injury, and so he's now out. And it's a shame because he was looking quite good. We were really hoping that he would be able to build on that 57 he scored against the Hawks and push up into the 60s or the 70s. But of course, he's injured now, and I think he's a trade out for a lot of people. And then the last two rookies on my field, Tumble Myers and Milan Murdoch, amazing scores from them. The 99k rookies are really pulling through when other rookies like Dyson Sharp, Jack Carroll, Grill, Sarong are not turning up. The Myers with an 80 or 79, a very, very solid score. And the Murdoch pretty much replicated his previous week with a 92, with a couple crucial goals in the clutch moments, boosting it, but still a very, very solid score. Then onto the ruck line. Tim English with a 114 against Lachlan McAndrew, who scored a 79. I think both good scores from them. Of course, Tim English, there were a lot of rucks that scored better than him. There was a Grundy with a 135, I think a Gorn with 144, and then a Tristan Cherry who scored a 199. But ultimately, for the long term, I think this is the type of score we should be seeing from Tim English. And I think it would be a very good, solid top 4 ruck score, which ultimately, if I've got at least 2 of the top 3 rucks, I'll be happy by the end of the season. Lachlan McAndrew, a very good score. He's averaging 83 now. Followed up from that 88 with a 79 against 2 good ruckmen. And now we'll get to see how he fares up against a ruckman of similar experience to him. And so I think he should generate quite a good bit of cash. If I get SuperCoach projector working, I think we can expect to see an 80 from him pretty much every week. And scoring that, he gets up to almost around 400k, which we couldn't ask for that much more from a rookie. Harry Sheasel, moving on to the forward line. God, it was looking like he was going to have a 170, and I was elated with the pick, but he sort of faltered off. And if we look at his stats on footy scores, we look at his quarter breakdown, it was 46 in the first, 39 in the second, and he's on 85 at halftime. You're thinking, great, this is the score we want to see from him. Then he only has 39 points in the next 2 quarters. And it's a what could have been, but it's also a bit concerning because he had 40 touches. He had 40 touches and only managed to get a 124. And usually when other people get 40 touches, you're looking at a 150. And I think that was because he didn't really get that many score involvements. He had 4 score involvements out of the 40 touches. He gets the ball a lot. He just isn't that good with the ball compared to other similar caliber midfielders. He only was going at 65, 14 contested possessions, 8 clearances, sure, but 3 clangers, and not that many other stats. He only had 3 marks, 4 tackles, and it was a bit of an underwhelming final score for him. Christian Petrarca was also looking like he was on for a 130, maybe 140, but he suffered a hamstring, quote-unquote, awareness, and he's probably out for the next, at least, month, I'd say. So he is a trade for me, at least. Sam Flanders with an 81. It's good, but we want to see better from Sam Flanders. And I think if we look at his stats, he was a bit in the back line, a bit in the midfield. He really was nowhere in the first quarter and in the last quarter when the game was most on the line. The other 2 quarters, 30 and 31, extremely good. We're really, really happy with this middle of the game. It's just when the game's on the line, he wasn't really there, stats-wise anyway. But we look at the centre bounce attendances, he's 78, he's got the role, and I think just settling into this Kilda system, I think a lot of us predicted this, that it would take some settling in time for all these new recruits, for a Tom de Koning who only got, I think, 45, for a Sam Flanders, for a Silvani, for a Liam Ryan to really get into it. And I mean, that's been reflected by the Saints, who've only won 1 of 3 games. And I think Flanders, he will get better as the season goes on. Connor Buderick with a 67. It's all right. It's all right from Connor Buderick. It keeps his cash gen flowing along. He's moved up 46k onto his buy now, but still pretty low break even, and his job security looks to be there. Todd Marshall, I know that there were some people who traded him out. I think a lot more people traded him in actually than traded him out, which was a good thing because he managed to back up that 90 with a 73. He looked fine coming off the injury, and I think he really benefited from the way the game was flowing in that last quarter. It was a lot of kick mark in the halfback line. I think emphasized by Alia, who got 21 kicks and 19 marks, which is just absurd. Todd Marshall, 11 marks, 15 kicks, similar boat. We look at his stats. He had 2 intercept marks, which is nice, and just looks really at home in that halfback line. He's got opponents of similar caliber coming up in West Coast and Richmond. He should be at around that 80-point mark in these 2 games. He'll be a very good cash gen. If he goes at, let's say, 70s, but scores an 85 and an 85 in these next 2 games, he'll get up to that 350 mark, and we will definitely welcome that. Someone else who's going to be generating a lot of cash is Devon Robertson, who is averaging a ton. He's one of, I think, 2 rookies right now in SuperCoach, along with his teammate Milan Murdoch, to average a ton. Jagger Smith also round about that mark as well. He just looks great. He looks settled in that Freo midfield. There was worries that he'd be just a VFL player, but he's shown that is not the case. He was their second leading disposal getter on the ground behind only Harley Reid. And 14 contested possessions. Only 43% of the centre bounce attendances, but he played a lot across that midfield. And he's someone that is definitely going to be looking around that 400k mark at the end of the season. Mateus Philippou with a 42. He looked all right in that first quarter, but then again, he just got managed. If we look at the Saints game again, he was a 57% time on ground. We look at quarter by quarter. Philippou got 25 in the first quarter and then just got 8, 5, and 4. He just didn't get enough time. And I think they're easing him back into it. But I hope they ease him back into it a little bit quicker. I hope he has a good game this next round, because a lot of people are trading him out, and I can very much understand it. His break even is pretty close to his projected score, and the score he's been scoring for the last 2 weeks. But of course, just with all this injury carnage, it's hard to get him out. Leo Lombard as well just didn't look anywhere in that game. We bring it up, he was pretty much nowhere for the entire game in terms of scoring wise. 2 points in the first, 0 in the second, and then third and fourth he got some semblance of scoring, but still only ended up on a 20. However, with track out, he might get a more prominent role in that GWS midfield, which I think is a reason to keep him. There are still other ways to get him, of course. once we see team sheets for not this coming weekend, not this coming round, but the round after that, we'll be able to make a decision on if we trade him to someone like a Christopher Sherry, who is another one of those promising 99k rookies. And we'll wait and see until then if he still remains in the team. Although we can't forget his 2 previous scores of the 69 and the 55. Those are still good scores. It's just a shame because his break even's now at 13 and it's getting a bit high. And lastly, we have one of the other big trades for this week for me was Luke Jackson, and he scored a 113 against arguably the best ruckman of all time in Max Gawn. And I'm quite happy with this score because this is the best ruckman he'll come up against. This is the benchmark of a good ruckman, of a Sherry, a Grundy in English. And he got a 113. He got a respectable score. And if we look at all the ruck scores for this round, because there was a lot of good scores, we had Tristan Cherry, Max Gawn, Brodie Grundy, all with 130 plus scores. Tristan Cherry was against West Coast. Max Gawn was against Fremantle, which is it's still a good score, and it's not like Fremantle are a bad ruck team by any stretch of the imagination. And Grundy got his against Hawthorn, who we've got good rucks, but they're not really of the super high quality. And so all Tristan Cherry and Brodie Grundy made their scores against bad teams, basically. Jordan Sweet as well against Blackiston. Toby Nankervis against Wits. And for Luke Jackson to be scoring the 7th highest score of the round against one of the best ruckmen in the competition, I think just shows that he should be a lock-in for hopefully a 120 average over the course of the year. And it's making me glad I have him. But ultimately, there's a way I probably could have gotten in Sherry that round, but hindsight's 2020. And so with that, I'm going to go into my trades for this week. And spoiler alert, I'm using another boost. After I said I wouldn't go through any boosts in the early buy periods, I've gone through 2. But these trades, I think, they could really set me up or they could really slow me down. I'm trading Connor Rosie out. I'm trading Christian Petrarca out. And I'm moving Zane Zakostelski to my defender line. And I'm bringing in the Big X. I'm bringing in Tristan Cherry. And I guess on top of this, I am also going to bring in Braden Cook, who is someone I'm not that excited about bringing in, but it's the only way I can really make things fit. And so we'll go through these 2 trades for now so I can show you the vision for my ruck line in the future. So for round 3, it's going to be Sherry, McAndrew, and Jackson because English is on his bye. And then round 4, McAndrew's going to sit on the bench. And from round 4 to 6, he's going to sit on the bench until hopefully Luke Jackson gets forward DVP. Because if we look at his splits in DFS Australia, great website, it's been pretty much 50% in that. If we scroll down, forward mid, forward 50, it's been pretty high in that. So hopefully that's enough to get him the DPP. He spent pretty much no time in the defensive 50 and defensive midfield parts of the ground. And if we can get DPP, then he moves up. McAndrew comes down to the flex. And if I still have Zane Zakostelski, he comes back. But then I could always bring in a cheap loophole. And if we look at those 3 games until Jackson has a chance of getting DPP, he's up against Freo, Carlton, and Saints. And it's a pretty daunting task for a ruckman because you've got Fremantle who have Luke Jackson and then have either Mason Cox or Sean Darcy. Then you've got Carlton who have Mark Pitney and who has been having a sneakily good season this year. Then you have one of the most talented 1-2 ruck combinations since 2023 Melbourne. You have St Kilda with their Tom de Koning and Rowan Marshall 1-2 punch, which has shown to be quite devastating at points in time this year, just not giving up any ruck hitouts to anyone over the course of the whole game. And so I think Lachlan McAndrew, if there's a few rounds he's going to struggle at any point in the season, it's going to be these 3 rounds, I think. And then if we look at our rucks that we're bringing in, Tristan Cherry, mate, I almost had a seizure when I looked at his run, because he's got Essendon against Blackiston, who he should go 150 against. He's got Mark Pitney, who is good, but he's not that good. Then you've got Brisbane, who have Darcy Fort and Sam Draper, who Sherry should maul. Then I looked at this and I'm like, okay, he's got Toby Nankervis. It'll be an all right. He should still win, get maybe 130. Then I remembered Toby Nankervis is injured, and I don't think Richmond have that good of a second ruck, so we don't even know who Sherry's going to face. And so I think SuperCoach hit this right on the head when they predicted him going 162. You've got Briggs or Madden, you've got whoever Geelong play, and then you've got Grundy. He has to wait until round 9 until he actually gets a competent ruckman to face off against. And by then, if he goes at his projected scores, which might be a stretch, but then again, he just scored 99, he's averaging 163, he'll get up to 800k. And so once he gets around these couple games, if he's scoring as well as this, if he's scoring 150s, then he's going to be 764, and no one's going to be able to get him at that price. You're going to have to sacrifice another premium ruckman, and given all the primo switching we're doing now because of injuries, I don't think it's worth it doing that. And so he's going to become really hard to get after this Essendon match when he rises up 35k as a high 600k player. Then you look at English, who after this run also has Blackiston, then he's got Hawthorn, then he's got Geelong. Pretty good ruck matchups for an established ruckman. And then we look at Jackson. He's got Richmond, we don't know who they're fielding, Adelaide, Collingwood, and West Coast. And round 6 is going to be amazing because you've got Richmond for Sherry. For English, you have Geelong. For Jackson, you have West Coast. The 3 best combinations, the 3 of the best matchups for ruckman. All 3 of my rucks will be facing in round 6. While McAndrew faces pretty much the hardest. And so I think it's going to work. It's going to fit pretty well if Jackson gets DPP. If he doesn't, then I might just have to be content with having a very good rookie on my bench. But at least he'll still be churning out cash. Going on to Braden Cook, he's someone I really don't want to get in, but he looks like someone who could be a must-have. He's got a break-even of negative 63. He's going to rise at least 100k, you'd expect, if he keeps his spot in the team. And if we look at where he got most of his touches, it was really along the wing. And then if we look where he's playing next round, it's GHNBA, which don't really have wings. And I would much rather get a Watkins or get a Chase Jones even at this point in time. But unfortunately, they're both midfielders and I have no DPP in here. And so I'm having to settle for Braden Cook, somewhat against my will. And if a Christopher Sherry gets named and Cook is maybe on the bench and Sherry's named on field, I might be tempted, but I really don't want to trade in another 99k rookie before his bubble, because I think I just got really lucky with Murdoch being as good as he is. I think if you are not hamstrung by your forward spots, I think definitely bring in a Watkins, definitely bring in a Murdoch if you haven't, or a Blamise if you haven't. These guys are must-haves over the likes of a Cook. But Cook still could be a very good scorer. We've seen wings have good cash gen. We had, I think, Jeremy Sharp a couple years ago for Freo, get up to like 350 from a 119k starting price. They can generate good cash. It's a bit inconsistent. And then with my final trade, I wanted to trade Dyson Sharp because ultimately I'm going to go Rosie to a Worrell. But if I trade Dyson Sharp, I am just... We move Sam Grill down. I am just 4k off. I'm 3,800k off if I trade Dyson Sharp. And so I think in the interest of getting Worrell, because he looks like he genuinely could be a top 6 defender, I have to keep Sharp. And instead, I have to trade out Jack Carroll, who is someone I'm probably going to trade out next round anyway. I'll be missing a good maybe 30k, but it's against Brisbane, so he might not actually do that well. And at this point in time, on a Monday, we don't even know if he's going to get named. I think that is something that's now come under question. And Josh Worrell, he is going to be a very, very good pick. He's a good own for those who've already had him. There is a caveat, though, with Worrell, in that he got sent for scans on his calf. If those come back negative, then I can always swing him out for a Dan Houston. And then that allows me to get out Sharp and get that extra cash from Jack Carroll. But I think Worrell is a much better chance at becoming a top 6 defender than Houston. And it's really because of the Adelaide injury list, which I will bring up now. If we look at the injury list from before this round, you can see Mark Keane and Mitch Hinge are both out. And they're out for a significant amount of time. Mark Keane's out for basically 10 weeks. Mitch Hinge is going to come back in 3 weeks, basically, after this injury. And we don't know if they'll come back to the VFL or not. You'd assume maybe they would, but depends how Adelaide are going at the time. But with them out, Josh Worrell has had full control over that Adelaide halfback line. I say full control, not really, because they've got a lot of kick-in takers, but Josh Worrell is definitely the most preferred one. I think 25 touches against the Dogs, going at 92, you look at his heat map, he's either the kick-in taker or he's the guy marking it from the kick-in. And I think this just has potentially, and not to the same extent, but Naz last year written all over him, someone who started the year at that like low 500 mark that really took the leap into becoming a top 6 defender. And I think Josh Worrell is definitely someone who can make that leap. He also has no early bye, which is good. And he is someone who has that round 12 bye, which I've now traded in 2 more players that do have that. Then again, I've traded out 2 players who have it. So I've still got 5 primos who have that round 12 bye. I've got Worrell, Butters, Noah Anderson, Tristan Cherry, and Harry Sheasel. I'll get Track back in. And so that is something that could tempt me against the likes of a Josh Worrell. But I'm not really sure who else I would go, because I just think there's no one as perfect than Josh Worrell at that price. You look at the averages, he's second. Jaden Short, not going there. Tom Stewart, absolutely not. Dane Zorko, he's too old. Josh Dacos, too expensive. And all these guys are pretty much too expensive. If we narrow it down to players that are sub 500, it's really just Jaden Short, Dan Houston, Joel Jeffrey, who's not an option given in his buy, Braden Maynard, and Wayne Miller. None of them are really options for me. I think it's only really Houston or Josh Worrell. And so I could be tempted to a Houston. And if you look down here, it's the more popular trade. But I think I'm going with Worrell for now. I think he just has a much better chance at being a keeper. And so these are my trades. These are the trades I'm looking at so far this round. I will make a video on Thursday with my final trades, which might look like this. They might look completely different. But these are the trades I'm thinking of going. as an early look for the vice captaincies and captaincies, I think you've got 2 big games here, or maybe 3. You've got Freo Richmond, you've got Essendon North, you've got Port West Coast. These are 3 games where we have a lot of primos that should be putting out good scores. For Richmond, I'm not going to put the VC or C on Jordan Clark. And while I might be tempted to with Jackson, and I have done well with Jackson VCs in the past, there's just a much better option, which is Tristan Cherry against Lockie Blackiston. I think Saturday night VC, it's pretty perfect given that Essendon with Lockie Blackiston, he hasn't been the guy for them. He gave up a lot of points to Sweet alone. We thought he might do a bit better under the double team, but the double team didn't end up happening because Visentini was dropped and he still floundered. And then the captaincy option, I think, just has to be Butters. He's going to have more reliance in that midfield with Rosie going out. And, Harry Shizzle got 124, but he's not really an impact midfielder. Butters is. And it's at home. I just think and we look at the practice match that these 2 teams played earlier on in the year, and you'll see why everyone was so hot on Butters. He got 176. If we can go anywhere close to that, 150 plus, it'll be fine. But I mean, in an ideal world, I wouldn't even have to use it. And so I will move McAndrew on field, move Philippou on field, and I'll move these guys on field and look at how my team does this round. I think it really depends if Zane Zakostelski should play. Josh Lindsay hopefully will play. And if these guys do play, that Jackson comes up to cover Lockie Jakes. And I've got 22 players playing. If not, I'll have at minimum 20 players playing, which I'm still quite happy with. It means the bottom 2 scores will get cut out, which is probably a Mateus Philippou and potentially a Grill, potentially a Cook. But I'm happy with that because I think I've got the scoring, especially with these 3 games that I mentioned before. I've got the scoring to be able to score well and to continue pushing up into that top 5, top 3, top 1% range. So now, let's go over to AFL Fantasy. And in AFL Fantasy, I didn't really do that well. I think we look at the scores. Sharp, Lindsay, Windsor, Carroll. I really screwed it up with trading out Fonty for Windsor. But I had Dacos, I had Bruin, Smith, Houston, Dacos out. I had a lot of primos out. And I have a lot more primos out this round as well. And in reality for fantasy, I'm only really playing it because I'm in a league with a bunch of my friends. And so my only real goal for this is to beat those friends. So some of the trades I make might not make the most sense in terms of scoring well every round, because in reality, I am just trying to score really good come the end of the round. And so for this week, I'm going to trade out Connor Rosie. I'm going to move Sam Grill up, and I'm going to get someone who I want to get in SuperCoach, Jack Watkins. I think especially given Rosie's out, he should get a lot more of that mid-time. And we were worried that with him, that when Ollie Wines comes back in, Watkins will get moved out. But now, Ollie Wines is replacing Connor Rosie, so Watkins should stay in. And then, with my other trade, I was thinking about trading out Sharp or Carroll, but I think just Christian Petrarca, it's no use having more players not playing in my midfield. And so I'm trading him out for a Christopher Sherry. Hopefully he gets named, gets some more price, rises in price a bit more. And it leaves me with 1.4 million, almost 1.5 million, which I'll then use to probably go sharp to Bont. And I've really gutted my team in terms of Primos go, but then again, I'm not really playing to win the ultimate prize, I'm just playing to have a really good team after the buys. So move everyone on field for here. And it leaves me looking like this, which I think looks pretty good. You know, I want to have a Sherry, and that might be a trade, might go... That could be a trade I could go now, going English to Cherry. It just depends. Actually, yeah, I think I am going to do that. So I'm going to roll back this trade, and I'm going to go English, who's on his buy, to Tristan Cherry. Because I think he's risen now. He just has that insane run. And the other Sherry, I will be able to get in a lot later. And with this, I can still probably get Bont to Sharp, or Sharp to Bont next week after the buy. I think it sets me up both good in terms of cash gen and having the required primos. Of course, Fantasy doesn't have the flex, so I can't have all three of Sherry, Jackson, and English, at least until Jackson gets DPP. For the captains, it's going to be the exact same SuperCoach. VC on Sherry, I think now, and C on Butters. I've got a lot of primos out. I've got I've got 4 in the forward line. Half my forward line's out. I've got Justin McInerney, Christian Petrarca. Got Noah Anderson, Ed Richards. It's going to hurt a bit. I've also got Connor Buderick, who's a useful mid-pricer. It's going to hurt a bit, but then again, I'm not playing for the now. I'm playing for the future with this team. And so that is it for the round wrap. And before we go, I'm just going to have a look at which of the teams that have done really well and what they look like, to see if there's anything we can learn from them. So currently the leader for SuperCoach is Got Wilk. And lo and behold, he doesn't have Wilkie. But he's gotten, I think, quite lucky. He's got the Sherry score. He had Bont VC'd. He's got Gorn, Sheasel, Sinclair, Ash. He's got these picks that have scored really well. He's got Ash, Bont, Butters, Gorn, Sherry. He's got Rosie and Track who have to be traded out. And he has questionable bench picks. Who is Oscar Berry? And he's got the Spud himself, Liam Reedy. But ultimately a good team to start off with. He's got Milan Murdoch. He's got Lockie Elverston, who I think a lot of people are wishing they had like a Buderick, and then you move Dobberston up into the forward line, up into the midfield and get a better mid rookie. But he's got all the good rookies. His trade should be pretty easy. You look at the top scorer for round 2. 80s losers ended up winning the round. He had Worrell, Butters, Brayshaw. Didn't have a Bont, but he had a Sherry captained. He also had Lacocious, which is a bit confusing. And, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to catch this team. I mean, he's got Gibcus, got Finn McRae. Phoenix Goddard is looking like someone who could be a sneaky rookie. He looks good. He's got Dersma Steele. But ultimately, I think all these teams are still within reach. For those who maybe are averaging only 2,000 now, didn't have the best first round, didn't have the best second round. I think me, myself, I'm averaging 2,072. I'm 4,143. And you look at these guys, the top guy is 400 points ahead of me. So I still think they're catchable. I think you just got to get these good rookies, because ultimately with all these sidewaysing trades, a lot of us are going to run out of trades by the end of the season. I think I especially might be one of them, given my trades last round. I traded out Clayton Oliver, which looking back on it looks like a bit of a questionable move, but I think is good for the long term. But all these injury trades, you've got people who started with Rosie, Track, Young, Goulden, maybe even a Heaney, and they've already had to spend 5 trades to get players out. Not to mention Sharp, Philippou, Lindsay, who's not playing. I think it's just important, even if you're saving a good 400k over these buy periods, to just get every single good rookie. I think it's paramount that you get them and then try to recover the season in the second half. And so I'll leave it with that. Make sure to like and subscribe so you get notified when I post my final trades for SuperCoach, because I think those are going to be my final trades for fantasy. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Happy coaching.